Hello dear student, this is Tiwari Sir here. Today we shall study about patterns. We know that in board exam, especially the ICSE exam, there is always a program related to pattern. And we shall study today a very important pattern, which is very common. If we can understand this pattern, we can create similar pattern also. So let us begin. Here is the given pattern. We see that this is a pyramid which consists of star. First line contains 1. In the second line, there is increment of 2 and likewise. And after reaching the maximum, it against the pyramid. What happens in the pyramid? We find that the symbol gets decremented by 2. So let us begin our program. As we all know that, first we have imported all the classes belonging to the util package. Import java.util.star. As we all know that import statement is used to import the different classes in our program. Java is a package, util is a sub package, util contains numerous classes, but here we want only the scanner class. We could have written directly the name of the scanner class, or we have used the wildcard character. This wildcard character saves time, so it is normally used. So public class pattern, we have given the name of our class pattern, and we have created a function-based program. So what we have done, we have created a function print pattern which accepts n as input. All right, public static void. That means function doesn't return anything. It is a static function. What are static functions? Functions which can be invoked by the name of the class. Static function need not be called using the object. And this is public means it is accessible everywhere. Public access specified has the widest scope. Static means the function can be invoked via the name of the object. And this void means it doesn't have a return type. And print pattern is the name of the function, and index is the parameter. Suppose n is 5, or suppose n is 6. Then what would happen? This particular code will execute. So what we take here, we have taken a function print pattern which accepts a variable n. All right. So let us study. These are some of the variable declaration: ij, num has been initialized to 1. The external loop. Suppose n is 6, then the external loop will run 6 times, 1 to n. What does external loop do? External loop determines the number of lines in the program. In a pattern-based program, the external loop always determines the number of lines. So, I loop, which is the external loop, will determine the number of lines. Now, let us see what does j loop do. J is equal to 1, j less than equal to n minus i. So what happens as the number of rows increases? I stands for number of rows. As the number of rows increases, what will happen? The spacing will also decrease. So you see, to create a pyramid pattern, all right. You see, to create patterns like this, what we do? Suppose n is 6. So initially, you see, suppose n is 6. So j is equal to 1, j 6 minus i. 6 minus i, that means 5. So we will have 5 spaces. And after 5 spaces, then the printing will take place. After 5 spaces, you see what is happening? J is equal to 1, j less than 2 into I minus 1. So initial value of I is 1. So 2 into I. 2 into I means 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So j loop will execute one time, and one time this star will be printed. So we will have an asterisk here once. This is for I is equal to 1. For I is equal to 1, we will have an asterisk here. New line. System.out. New line. So what happens? We will get a new line. That means cursor moves to the next line. Now what happens? The value of I becomes 2. Second line, the I will increment and will have the value 2. So j will execute how many times? N minus I. That means 6 minus 2, 4 times. So you see what happens? The cursor moves towards the left. As the spacing gets decreased, so we will have this particular pyramid pattern. Now, how many times the printing will take place 2 into I minus 1. That means 2 to the 4, 4 minus 1, 3. 3 times this asterisk will be printed. One will be printed here, other will be printed here, and other will be printed here. So we will have 3 asterisks in a row. Then again new line. After that, the value of I will become what? 3. So J will be n minus 3, 6 minus 3. So spacing is decreasing. As the spacing is decreasing, the pattern is moving towards the left. And in the third line, what will happen? 2 into I. That means 2, 3 are 6, 6 minus 1, 5. So we'll have 5 asterisks in line 3. And likewise, the whole of the asterisks will be printed. All right. Now, this was the upper part of the pyramid. For the reverse part of the pyramid, you see what we are doing? N minus 1. That means if n is 5, the loop will commence from 6. If n is 6, the loop will commence from 5. 5 to 1. External loop is decrementing now. J is equal to n minus 1. So n minus I. So if I is initially what? I is n minus 1, 6 minus 1, 5. So J loop will execute 5 minus 6 minus 5. That means one time. One time the J loop will execute and there will be one spacing. And in that one spacing, what will happen? How many asterisks will be printed? 2 into I. That means 2 into 5, 10 minus 1, 9 asterisks will be printed. After that, what will happen? The I will decrement by 1. So now J will move how many times? N minus I. That means 6 minus I is now what? I is now 4. So 6 minus 4. There will be 2 spacing. So what happens? The pyramid, the pattern will, after printing like this pattern, now what will happen? This pattern will move towards the right. As the spacing is increasing, you see in every line this spacing is increasing. So we are having this particular pattern. And in every line, what is being printed? 2 into I minus 1. So in the second line, what will happen? How many asterisks will be printed? Now I is 5, 2 5s are 10 minus 1. No, now the I is 4 because in the first line it was 9. In the first line it was 5. So we got 5, 2 5s are 10 minus 1, 9. Now I is 4, 2 4s are 8 minus 1, 7. 7 times the asterisks will be printed. And after printing a single line, there will be a new line character. So we see that this whole function is able to create a pattern. It creates a pyramid. The first part of this first part of this pyramid is created by this particular block of code. And the lower part of the pyramid, that means the lower part is created by this particular part of the code. And finally, we have the main. What does the main do? It will simply ask us to enter the number of rows, which is accumulated in variable n. And here we are simply invoking the main function and calling it, here we are invoking the print pattern function and passing it n to it. So let me first execute it. No syntax error. Right click on this and run the main program. And you see what we get now? We are getting this pattern. Let me increment this size of the output screen. You see, we are getting the whole pattern. First 1, then 3, then 6, then 7, then 9. And then there is 11. And gradually the things are decrementing. So you see, this is how we create pattern in Java. For board exam, there are approximately 25 patterns from which the things can come. However, if we learn 6 to 7 pattern, we can generate the pattern with that particular knowledge. But nevertheless, if it is possible, it is better to go through all those 25 patterns. Hope you all have liked it. Any students, if they have doubt or anyone who has any doubt, can contact me personally on the WhatsApp, or they can participate in the live classes where we shall take questions from the user. Thank you.